Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being with us here this morning. Bonjour à toutes et à tous, et merci d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional, unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. I recognize their enduring presence and stewardship of this land, and I honor their history, culture, and contributions. Thank you to the members of the press gallery who are here today, along with my colleagues from all of Canada's national political parties who have come together this morning. My colleagues and I would like to begin by extending our sincerest condolences to the families and friends, as well as to our colleague Bob Zimmer, who have been devastated by yesterday's horrific shootings in Tumble Ridge, BC. We are here today to officially launch Canada's National Kindness Week, which will take place from February 15th to the 21st. This week exists because Parliament came together across party lines to pass legislation recognizing something very simple, yet powerful, that kindness matters, and it deserves to be encouraged, celebrated, and practiced intentionally. Nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui pour lancer officiellement la Semaine nationale de la gentillesse au Canada, qui se déroulera du 15 au 21 février. Cette semaine existe parce que le Parlement s'est uni au-delà des lignes partisanes pour adopter une loi reconnaissante que quelque chose de très simple, mais de profondément puissant, la gentillesse compte et elle mérite d'être encouragée, célébrée et pratiquée de façon intentionnelle. National Kindness Week is not about politics. It is not about ideology. It's about people. It's about checking in on a neighbor. It's about volunteering at a food bank. It's about showing patience, compassion, and respect in moments when it would be easier not to sometimes. Dans ma circonscription de Prescott-Russell-Cumberland, je vois de la gentillesse à tous les jours. Je le vois dans mes petits villages comme dans nos communautés en pleine croissance. Ces gestes ne font que rarement les manchettes. Pourtant, ce sont eux qui maintiennent nos communautés unies. C'est pourquoi, à l'occasion de la Semaine nationale de la gentillesse, je suis fière de participer à 9 activités de la Semaine de la gentillesse la semaine prochaine, une dans chacune des municipalités de Prescott-Russell-Cumberland. I will be joining Seniors' Homes Blitzes, for example, with the Mayor of Clarence-Rockland, Mary Ozanth, and local City Council, where we will visit all the seniors' residences in the municipality. I'm also excited to join the Mayor of Castleman, Geneviève Lajoie, for an intergenerational kindness afternoon, bringing local kindergarten classroom to visit local seniors. And these are just a few examples of how communities can come together to support kindness. What makes today, this press conference, especially meaningful is that all of us are here today, across parties, to stand together to launch National Kindness Week. At a time when so many people feel divided, this is a reminder that there are values we all share, and kindness is one of them. Notre espoir est que la Semaine nationale de la gentillesse devienne plus qu'une simple date au calendrier. Nous voulons qu'elle soit une étincelle, quelque chose qui inspire les Canadiennes et les Canadiens à choisir l'empathie plus souvent, à tendre la main plus spontanément et à chercher des façons de s'entraider non seulement cette semaine, mais tout au long de l'année. J'ai maintenant le plaisir de vous présenter notre première intervenante, la députée Linda Lapointe de Rivière-des-Mille-Îles.
Merci, Joanna. Merci. Bonjour à vous tous. Merci d'être là. Quand même, c'est tôt pour bien des gens. Alors, chers collègues, mesdames et messieurs, je suis très heureuse d'être ici aujourd'hui pour souligner la Semaine nationale de la gentillesse. Et je tiens à remercier ma collègue Giovanna Mingalarelli de cette belle initiative. C'est elle, avec d'autres collègues, qui avait mis ça en place dans les dernières années, puis ça a débuté, puis on essaie de continuer. Le Canada est un vaste pays et diversifié. D'une région à l'autre, d'une communauté à l'autre, nous avons des réalités, des cultures et des parcours différents. Mais ce qui nous rassemble, partout au pays, c'est l'importance que nous accordons aux relations humaines, au respect et à la solidarité. La gentillesse, ce sont souvent des petits gestes, mais ils peuvent avoir de grands impacts. C'est écouter l'autre, même quand on n'est pas d'accord. C'est de parler avec respect. C'est se rappeler que derrière chaque opinion, il y a une personne. Dans ma circonscription de Rivière-des-Mille-Îles, au nord de Montréal, au Québec, la gentillesse se vit au quotidien. Elle se voit lorsque nous prenons le temps d'aller à la rencontre et remercier ceux qui veillent à notre sécurité, comme des visites qu'on organise dans les casernes de pompiers. Elle se manifeste aussi lorsque nous partageons un moment avec nos aînés. On a planifié, nous aussi, d'aller rencontrer les aînés dans la résidence du Chénier la semaine prochaine. Ces rencontres simples mais sincères renforcent les liens et rappellent l'importance de la reconnaissance et de l'écoute. À la Chambre des communes, nous venons de tous les partis, nous venons de régions différentes, nous avons de régions différentes, mais vous savez tous que le Canada est un pays très vaste. Et nous avons des idées différentes, mais nous avons tous la même responsabilité, celle de servir les gens avec respect et humanité. Dans nos communautés comme ici, la gentillesse aide à rapprocher les gens, à réduire les tensions et à créer un climat de confiance, surtout dans les moments difficiles. Aujourd'hui, en soulignant cette semaine ensemble, nous envoyons un message clair. La gentillesse a sa place en politique, elle a toute sa place dans notre démocratie. Merci et bonne semaine de la gentillesse. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Linda. I'm now happy to introduce Michael Barrett, the Member of Parliament for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes, who is the sponsor in the House for the National Kindness Week legislation in 2021.
Well, thanks very much, Giovanna. It's wonderful to be joined by colleagues from all parties. As Giovanna said, it's an incredibly challenging time, and I want to extend, as well as Giovanna did on behalf of everyone here, my condolences and extend my prayers to everyone in Tumble Ridge, British Columbia, after the tragedy yesterday. And it's tough to arrive here this morning and plan to deliver an uplifting message in the wake of such a tragedy. And I know that they'll be on the minds and in the prayers of everyone today. Kindness Week was something that I knew about from the work of Rabbi Reuven Bolka, often referred to as Canada's rabbi. He was very active in the city of Ottawa. And my constituency, my community is just south of here, Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes. Kempville is the closest to Ottawa, but I grew up in Arnprior, and so I would be very engaged with what was happening in Ottawa and in municipal politics. And the rabbi was determined for some time. I remember listening to him on talk radio that he wanted a kindness week in the city of Ottawa. And in 2011, Ottawa recognized a kindness week. And that was, at the time I was living in Edmonton, but continued to follow his work, and I thought that was something that he should be very proud of, and certainly a laudable effort. And in 2021, when Senator Munson made a possibly third attempt to have Kindness Week pass through the Senate, I was interested, and the opportunity to sponsor the bill in the House almost fell into my lap, and I thought it was quite serendipitous to be able to make this effort. 2021, much like today, we found that there was an awful lot of division. People were very quick to find things that they didn't agree on. And I approached members in other parties. Emanuela Lambropoulos in the Liberal caucus was the first. And we talked about how we could get this through the House expeditiously. Now, everyone has lots of legislative priorities, but at the time, Rabbi Bolka was quite unwell. And we thought that if we can't get unanimous consent to recognize Kindness Week as in recognition of a very good man's, a great man's work and his efforts and his intention, what could we get unanimous consent on? And we did. We did work with all parties in the House, all members in the House agreed to pass at all stages this bill that had already been through the Senate. And in 2021, National Kindness Week was recognized. And it was the beginning of a national opportunity for all of us to engage in our communities. And an act of kindness, I think, today, more than any other day, is something that we should think about extending, taking a moment. It doesn't need to cost anything. A visit to seniors' homes, like Giovanna talked about planning in her riding for next week. Simple acts of kindness, checking on a neighbor, checking on a coworker, talking to a family member. It doesn't have to cost a dime, but it counts for so much. And it's something that we could all use more of. I think the scene of us all getting together this morning across all parties to talk about something as important as kindness is a really important message. As Canadians, I believe and I think that you'd find further unanimity amongst parliamentarians that there is more that we have in common than divides us. And I think that that's something that as we go into National Kindness Week, that people reflect on, the Canadians reflect on what they have in common with someone that they might feel a little blocked up from talking to them, and check in, say hello, and take care of yourself, take care of your neighbors. And finally, I again want to thank all of my colleagues for taking part in this multi-partisan effort, and thank Giovanna, whose work on National Kindness Week began before her election to the House, and so it's very nice to see the continuation of her with leading us off this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Michael, so much for your very kind words. J'ai maintenant l'honneur de vous présenter Andréanne Larouche, députée de Shefford.
Merci, Giovanna, pour cette opportunité de parler lors de cette conférence de presse pour la Semaine de la gentillesse. D'abord, mes sympathies également, mes condoléances à toute la communauté touchée par le drame en Colombie-Britannique. Donc, mes meilleures pensées vers les proches. Écoutez, une Semaine de la gentillesse, mais pourquoi? Je me rappelais des débats en 2021, des échanges, en fait, autour de ce projet de loi-là. Et en français, on a une expression qui dit « Mais qui peut être contre la tarte aux pommes? » C'est un petit peu comme ça. Qui peut vraiment être contre un projet de loi pour parler de gentillesse? C'est ce qui devrait nous inspirer au quotidien. Moi, avant d'être élue, je travaillais sur à sensibiliser les gens contre la maltraitance et l'intimidation envers les personnes aînées, en collaboration avec un organisme qui travaillait dans des écoles secondaires, donc qui travaillait sur ces enjeux d'intimidation dans les écoles secondaires. Mais on devrait être gentil, on devrait faire preuve de gentillesse et non faire des actes de maltraitance ou faire des actes d'intimidation. Il me semble que ça doit aller de soi. Et je me rappelle aussi qu'il y a eu ces échanges sur la Semaine de la gentillesse et pourtant, malheureusement, en 2024, on a dû rappeler les parlementaires féministes par une lettre en juin, je me rappelle, on terminait la session pour demander plus de civilité en cette Chambre. Donc, pour demander moins d'actes d'intimidation. Et pour moi, c'est essentiel et on l'a demandé parce qu'en 2024, on observait une hausse d'actes d'intimidation et donc pas d'actes très, très gentils entre parlementaires et on a fait cette demande-là. Et encore une fois, c'est une demande que l'on a faite et à Québec, même s'il y a un gouvernement majoritaire, il y a quand même eu des comités moins partisans. Je veux apporter cette culture-là aussi moins partisane de l'Assemblée nationale. Je souhaite qu'on travaille dans cet esprit-là ici, encore plus dans un gouvernement minoritaire où l'on doit, tout à l'heure quelqu'un parlait, on doit se parler, on doit collaborer dans un esprit le moins partisan possible, mais dans un esprit de gentillesse. Donc oui, en 2025, on le voyait venir encore, puis là, en 2026, on est là à annoncer cette semaine-là qui s'en vient. Et je pense que ça va être un moment pour les parlementaires, ici, en ce Parlement, comment est-ce qu'on peut être plus gentils entre nous. Et bien entendu, on a une semaine de circonscription la semaine prochaine. Il y a tellement d'organismes, tellement de gens qui font preuve de gentillesse. Alors, comment on peut soutenir ces actions-là? Et même, je me rappelle, il y a la chaire de recherche sur le vieillissement de l'Université de Sherbrooke qui travaille sur des communautés bienveillantes. Des communautés bienveillantes, c'est quoi? Ce sont des voisins qui font des actes de gentillesse entre eux et c'est prouvé que c'est quelque chose d'extrêmement positif qui permet le bien de toute une communauté. Alors, rappelons-le nous, pour les jours qui restent ici avant de partir en semaine de circonscription, soyons gentils entre nous et la semaine prochaine, faisons preuve de gentillesse, mais pas seulement lors de cette semaine-là, mais toute l'année également. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Andréanne. I now have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, Don Davies, the Member of Parliament for Vancouver Kingsway.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I also want to express my deepest condolences to the victims, the families, the friends, and the community of Tumbler Ridge as they recover from the horrific attack that occurred last night in British Columbia. It strikes me that as we gather here today to mark National Kindness Week, there's a cruel irony to that, but also perhaps a profound symmetry as we gather across party lines to focus on the opposite of what happened yesterday, which is the coming together in humanity and in kindness. I'm honored to stand here with colleagues from all parties as we join together to recognize National Kindness Week. At a time when the world feels increasingly defined by division, conflict, and even hatred, this shared commitment matters. It reminds us that in moments of tension and uncertainty, what people need the most isn't sharper rhetoric or tougher posturing, but more kindness and gentleness. These qualities reflect our humanity and provide a powerful counter-narrative to those calling for us to fear and distrust each other. National Kindness Week also reminds us that empathy and solidarity aren't abstract ideals. They're actions we can choose to take every day. And those actions, as Michael said, don't have to be grand to be meaningful. Kindness can be as simple as checking in on someone who's struggling, displaying patience when it's in short supply, or lending a hand because you noticed a need. A gentle word, a checked criticism, or a helpful gesture can be a powerful inspiration and create an impact that we may never fully appreciate. But these small gestures push back against the harshness and meanness around us. A single act of kindness may not transform the world, but for someone who needs it, it may mean the world. And when these moments multiply across our communities, they create something stronger than any one of us could build alone. So as we celebrate National Kindness Week, I hope each of us seizes this opportunity to lighten someone's load, brighten someone's day, and remind them that they are not alone. It's not lost upon me that as I speak these words very close to the House of Commons chamber, where words of kindness and empathy are not the usual currency of debate. But I also think that this proximity is profound, because perhaps there's no better place to start practicing these values than as leaders in our national discourse. In challenging times, kindness can and will ground us, connect us, and point toward the kind of Canada that I know that all of our citizens want to build together. Let's do our best. Thank you for reminding me and inspiring me to try. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don. I now have the pleasure of introducing Elizabeth May, the Member of Parliament for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Merci Giovanna, merci tous mes collègues et mes amis. C'est important pour le début de la semaine de la gentillesse d'être ici, près de la Chambre de commune, près de la Chambre où nous avons chaque journée l'opportunité de montrer la gentillesse et que c'est malheureusement tellement rare. I'm really so honored to be included as leader of the Green Party and to follow my dear friend and inspiration, leader of the New Democratic Party, Don Davies, and members, Michael Barrett and I are really good friends. I just wanted to mention that because people might not believe it. They might think that we just summoned together for show. J'adore mon amie Andréanne. Elle est quelqu'un comme un vrai héros pour moi, comme aussi féministe et députée. We are really, you see Bruce Franges right there. I love him. We're all really, the people of Canada, unfortunately, citizens of this country, neighbors and friends, you see the worst of us because question period is what media cover. And that's a display of pure stupidity every single day and meanness. It shouldn't be like that. And I want Canadians to know this is the real us. We care about each other and we love Canada. And we love the people in our communities. I love Bob Zimmer, and God, what he's going through as the Member of Parliament for Tumbler Ridge right now. I can't begin to express how stricken we all are by this. But perhaps, and I hope it wasn't intentional, that it just turns out that this year, and thank you, Michael, for reminding us that this was Rabbi Bolka's inspiration. I loved Rabbi Bolka. He was the epitome of kindness. As was our dear colleague, whom we miss so much, Kirsty Duncan. You look at exemplars of kindness, and they are all around us. But I just wanted to say that next week, when we experience la semaine de la gentillesse, nous sommes pas ici, because we're back in our ridings. But I really would like to see us try within each of our caucuses to tell the people who are running the show, let's just stop being mean. Let's change the brand to build Canada strong and kind, because that's who we really are. Merci.
Merci.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I love that, Canada strong and kind. The brand for next week. Okay, so I will now be opening the floor for questions and answers.
Thank you. I understand it's a very difficult day for all Canadians right now. We have two party leaders, both of who represent British Columbia. So I would just like to hear from both Elizabeth May and Don Davies. And Zoe, I know, is an MP from British Columbia as well, so if after you'd like to make some comments. Just what kind of information you've received from the federal government, what kind of support you're able to offer to British Columbia, if you've had any conversations with Premier David Eby right now, if you could give a bit of an update on what you've known in the last few hours.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I've had limited ability at this point to talk to anybody in authority, but I did have the chance to speak with officials in the Minister of Public Safety of British Columbia, Minister Krieger's office last night, who actually reached out to me while it was still an active shooting. And so I was advised that there was, an event going on. At that point, we didn't know yet what had occurred, other than there was a shooter in a school. But it does give me the opportunity to also, I think, express our gratitude to the first responders, not only the, I believe it was the RCMP, but also paramedics and ambulance drivers and hospital and healthcare workers who also were engaged in what was a dangerous and obviously very traumatic situation. So I think now we're just starting to get the details. Last I heard, there were some 10 people dead and 25 injured, I think. And I've heard that the alleged shooter has likely taken their own life. So I think that's all we know at this point. And really, there'll be lots of time in the days ahead to parse what happened. At this point, I think the main thing is we just have to come together as a country and express our our deep condolences and grief to all those who are suffering and to offer whatever help might be needed in that community at this point in time.
I just, and Zoe Roy is also a member permit for BC, so I'll drop away and let Zoe speak, but I rarely agree so wholeheartedly with the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, but it was as if he was reading my mind when I read that the Premier had said, you read these things and you think they happen somewhere else. They don't happen here. And to the extent that we know anything, we don't know much right now. And I've been also watching closely and keeping in touch with the people I know who live. It's a very remote community. If for people in the media who don't know, I mean, it's roughly 2,000 people live there. Tumbler Ridge wouldn't exist if it wasn't for a metallurgical coal mine that was started there long ago. It shut down briefly. It recently reopened. For the people in that community, I think of when they had just a few years ago, just really high unemployment as the mine closed. The town was full of hope. It's incomprehensible, which means all we can say is that we send deepest condolences as to support and federal support. I'm sure first responders are going to need a lot of support emotionally for what they have gone through, being the first to show up to open the school doors. It's unspeakable. It's a terrible tragedy, and we mourn with those who've lost so much. Zoe, do you want to say something?
Zoe Roy, Port Moody, Coquitlam. Our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers are with the people of Tumbler Ridge, the families of the innocent lives that were lost. It was very difficult to think of anything else. And of course, as we move into National Kindness Week, we think about love. Love as an action, love for one another, and that true spirit of caring without expecting anything else in return. I'm deeply thankful for our Prime Minister's words last night, and I'm truly, truly thankful for the first responders that are working around the clock to support families and to really help the community heal. So I think it's more important than ever that we come together as a country, as a government, as communities across Canada, and really stand for unity in these difficult, difficult times. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Alors, merci. I would like to thank all of my colleagues. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for your kindness. Thank all Canadians for your kindness. Et merci à toutes celles et tous ceux qui contribuent à faire la Semaine de la gentillesse un succès dans les communautés partout au pays. Merci, bonne journée.